Hi everybody, Rob here from the Oyster House Boys, and welcome to this video where we're looking at something quite exciting. It's a new synth from Moog. This is the Mavis, which is a monophonic synth. They call it a synth voice. I would suggest that it's actually far more than that. I'll just cover some of the basics here, but also just before we get into it, this is sold as kind of like a DIY kit, and I would suggest that it's maybe not that much of a DIY kit, so don't be put off if you're not particularly interested in putting anything together. This comes with the tray chassis thing, it's kind of like a small case, although it is Eurorack compatible, so I've got this connected with these afterlater bolts at the moment. I will do another video where I put this into a Eurorack case, either with a Mother 32 or a DFAM maybe, or in a larger Eurorack setup so we can see how it plays nicely with other toys or not. All you have to do is put the faceplate on the PCB, which comes preloaded with all the knobs, the switches and everything. You tighten up a few screws underneath, and then all you need to do is attach the nuts onto each patch point. So there are 24 patch points, and they supply a handy little tool for doing that. There's a calibration tool that comes with it as well, so you can see there are some little holes there for the trim pots underneath. And that's about it. It comes with a dust cover, instructions, but it really is like a 5-minute job. I didn't want to show it because it's so basic that you don't need to follow along a build. It's not like creating a whole, soldering components onto a PCB. Anyway, I digress. So there's actually quite a lot to unpack here. So you've obviously got a keyboard, which is nice to have if you don't have like a MIDI keyboard or something. We've got 24 patch points over here, and they cover a few options which you don't necessarily see straight away on the faceplate. So you've got sample and hold, and then something which is this one level. So we have a utility section here, which has a wave folder, which is very cool. I don't think I've seen one of those on a Moog before, certainly not in any of the Eurorack semi-modular compatible jobs. There's a one level, which is maybe not the best label, but that's a 2-channel mixer which mixes audio or CV, which is quite nice. An attenuator, so you can dial in the amount of any of the controls that you might want to use. Keyboard scale and glide. Now glide, as you know, that will just smoothly transition from one note to the next. Keyboard scale, when I first saw it, I thought, well, that's going to be an octave range, but it's not. So if we take, let's just change my envelope generator here. I've got a reverb on, let me just turn that off. So all you're hearing now is the pure sound of the Moog. So we've got an octave there. This note will always stay the same, but it changes progressively along the keyboard, the end point. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So this is basically kind of stretching the voltage range, which is creating the pitches for each of these keys. Okay, then we have an LFO with a rate control. We got some visual feedback from the LED, which is the other component you have to fit. Not the LED itself, but the little plastic light tunnel that brings the light up to the surface of the faceplate. A wave control, so this is variable between a triangle and a square wave. And we have an ADSR envelope generator, which has quite a good range. We'll have a little look at that in a bit. Let's go to the voice itself. So we have the normal kind of pitch control, the wave shape, which goes from a sawtooth to a square or pulse width control with an amount control here. And then we have a variable control for mod mix between the envelope generator and the LFO, and the LFO, and then a pitch mod amount, which takes the same controls. The filter, which is a lovely sounding Moog filter with resonance, and it will self-resonate. We'll get to that in a bit. And similar controls to the voice for the filter as well. So we have a mod mix from the envelope generator to the LFO, and then a mod amount, which is a plus to minus. We have volume control. The VCA output on this is also a headphone out and works as the VCA out in Eurorack format, so it's quite a clever little output there. Then we have a switch here for the VCA mode, so it can be always on, or it can base the VCA on the envelope generator. Like that, or on the envelope generator. Okay, so that's it for the kind of the physical structure. Oh, it also comes with a wall wart power supply, which has not a bad length of cable on it actually. I've not measured it, but it looks like maybe 1.5 meters or so, maybe possibly 2 meters. Anyway, so as often with Moog, they have supplied a bunch of these preset patch cards to just kind of help you dive into the thing and let you kind of get started, and just gives you a little bit of a kind of a head start and some understanding of how the machine works. So what I'm going to do is just run through those with you, and then we'll look at some of the other sounds we can get out of it as well. So let's start with a basic one. Let's go for this foldable kick drum. Now, you could just plonk this on there and line everything up. I don't need to do that. I'll do it by eye. So I'm just going to follow the instructions here and set the controls. Now you'll see some of these have a little kind of a green ring, and they're the ones that they're suggesting that, or Moog are suggesting that you tinker with as you play. But I'll set them to the settings that they've got. All the way down, all the way down. Let's turn that to 10 o'clock. Down and release up. VCA to envelope generator. No resonance. Filter closed. There, okay. No pulse width, so that doesn't really matter. No mod and VCO set halfway at 12 o'clock between envelope generator and the LFO. Pitch up there. Okay, so that's all good. Let's start patching. So the LFO output is going to the fold in. The LFO rate is going to the attenuator. And there's one left to do, so, or have I done that wrong? No, that's right. And then attenuator +5 is going to the envelope generator. Okay, so this should give us a kick. I'll just put that there again so you can have a quick look at it. This is fairly basic. I have gone through all these myself, so I know they sound good, and I know that this kick drum is actually pretty nice sounding. So let's just have a listen. I think I might need a bit more volume for that. Now, they are suggesting that for this one, we play with the attenuator and the LFO rate. Now, with a bit of compression and a little bit of reverb for like a room effect, that's pretty nice sounding. So you've got the kind of the snap and the pitch fall off that you would actually get with a real drum. That sounds pretty nice. Now, I won't spend too long on these patches. I will just whip through them so you can get an impression. I don't want this video to be too long. So let's unplug those and let's go for our second patch, second preset. So this is one of my favorites. I really like this. This is the folding bass. So let's just set our controls. Pitch down, VCO down, pulse width up, down, up, up, down, keyboard scale all the way down, LFO, attack, decay, no sustain, and a bit of release, resonance up a touch, bit of that, cut-off's done. Okay, so time to patch some cables. So I want my keyboard CV out into my LFO rate. I want to fold in to the 1+2, which is the mixer. And that's the output of the mixer. So that's actually the output of the mixer going to the fold in. Yeah, that's right. I want my 2 coming from my VCO out, and then my LFO out is going to the, is that right? No, the VCO is going to the 1 amp. Okay, right, so this I think that sounds immense. I hope that's coming through in the video. It's a bit quiet. Let me just raise that up a little bit in Logic so you can get a better idea of it. Now we can play with the pitch up here. And here you can really hear the wave folder coming into play. Just gives it that kind of aggressive bite and a little bit of kind of grit. I really like that. I think that sounds really good. Okay, let's put that one out of the way. That really is one of my favourites. I like that a lot. And if you start playing around with it and just tinkering with some of the settings, it can pay off quite quickly. Okay, next up, let's go for the buzzsaw. So the buzzsaw here, let's just get this set up. Okay, that's there, that's there, there. Bit more sustain. Open the filter a bit, touch more resonance. Okay, right, that looks like we are pretty much good to go. So start patching again. So keyboard CV out is going to 2. The fold in is coming from the LFO. The 1 to 5 is being fed by the VCO, like so, and that's one more going, I think. Oh, LFO rate is coming from the 1+2. Okay, so this is a buzzsaw, so as you can imagine, it's going to be fairly harsh. But pretty juicy. I hate using that word. I apologise in advance for saying it again. But it does sound good. I like that a lot. Cool. Okay, so another one down. Let's go for the next one now. I'm just whipping through these so you can hear them. And sorry, you're going to watch me patch these live, but maybe there's some value in that. Something I also wanted to mention, just while I do this, I'll just patch this up while I talk, is that I imagine, like many, I was not worried, but slightly hesitant about the quality of the pots, these knobs themselves. Actually, they're really good. When I bought the DFAM, I was not a huge fan. I didn't have a problem with them, but especially with something like the DFAM, where you really need kind of accuracy, having a slightly longer throw makes a massive difference. On this, maybe the pitch, although I'm not too concerned. These have a really nice feedback. The only thing I would really prefer is if the cutoff was a bit bigger, and that's just because I'm kind of old and set in my ways, and having a big filter cutoff knob just feels like the norm for me. But these feel really good. I bought the Thonk kit to make the DFAM ones bigger, which are just the little pots that you screw on from the side. I imagine you could probably do the same with these if you needed to, or if you felt the need, but I really don't. I think these are excellent quality. So don't worry too much about that. Okay, so this is going to go malt to sample and hold. You know what? I'm going to turn the volume down so you don't hear it until it's patched. Malt 1 is going to the attenuator, and malt 2 is going to the cutoff, which makes sense. And then what have I got? My volts per octave is being fed by my attenuator output. Okay, so now I can crank the volume and it should just play itself. So you can play with this. Although this one doesn't have a green ring around any of the knobs, it's just as good to tinker with. So you can play with the rate by using the LFO rate. I'm just going to reduce the pitch a bit. I like that kind of squelchy sound you can get, kind of acidy sound. It works quite well. If you tinker with the cutoff and the resonance, I've increased the resonance a bit and just shortened the release. And you get a really nice kind of like plucky bass sound. Anyway, that's that one. Sounds really good. I like it a lot. So next we have a patch card called the Detuned Dual Square. And this is the last one that they supply, so I'll just put that there so you can see it. Again, this is a really nice sounding one, and this is another one where I found that adding some reverb worked really well. Something I've noticed actually with a lot of patches, reverb, either big or small, classic kind of tape or massive, Valhalla style ones, it works really well with it. Some voices don't tape to reverb very nicely. This one really does, and I swear that's just the Moog filter. Okay, so resonance down, cutoff up, none of that, some of that. Let's just shorten this. Okay, square LFO, and the LFO rate is one that they suggest you play with, as is the pitch, although I'll just leave that in the middle for now. No folding, and keyboard scale to 0. Mod mix 12 o'clock. Okay, let's get patching. So LFO rate to keyboard out. Let's go fold to 1+2. So that's the mixer doing its thing. 2 is going to, or coming from, the attenuator. And where are we? The LFO is feeding into channel 1. I think I need one more. What am I missing? I've got that one. 1, 2, 3, I've got that. I am missing one cable from this patch chart. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're probably shouting at me. You can feel free to leave a comment. I won't be offended at all. Hang on. That one goes in there into the LFO, which means that my VCO is going to the attenuator, like so. Okay, so this is Detuned Dual Square. Let's crank up the sound. Now, this is suggesting I play with both the LFO rate and the pitch, so I'm just going to increase the pitch. Just tune it down. And then while I play a few notes, I'm just going to play with the the LFO rate. So you can hear this is affecting it in the same way as that kick drum did. So it's, there are some extra kind of harmonics in there. I hope you can hear them on YouTube. Let's turn this right down to see what it sounds like. Like that. Okay, so let's turn on a massive, a stupidly big reverb. Okay, so that's the last of the presets. So there are a handful of those that we've gone through. And once you've gone through those and had a little play with them and twisted a few knobs, you'll get the feel of this synth very, very quickly. So let's go back to doing something. Let's just crank this up. So I'm going to massively increase the attack. I'm going to open up the release. Close, no resonance. I'm going to close the cutoff. I'm going to add a little bit of LFO to the VCF mod mix. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that. What should we use for this? I'm going to use a sample and hold out, and I'm going to put it into the multi, and we're going to use this. I'm going to put that into cutoff, and I'm going to put it into the VCO. Actually, I'm going to put it into pulse width, and we'll change the pulse width amount. So this is going to basically act as a third hand for both the filter and the pulse width. I'm going to close down the maximum amount of cutoff. I'm going to change the mod amount. Okay, so we've got a kind of a pad sound there, but with some movement in it, which I can slow down with the LFO. Now I could have slowed this down in other ways. I could have fed one of these into the attenuator and then on to either the cutoff. So if I didn't want them both to be connected, I could do that and then split it off so one goes to the attenuator so you can dial back the full amount of what was going on there. I just think that sounds lovely. Anyway, I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to ramble on too much. I've gone through the patch cards that Moog supply. This is a really solidly built little bit of kit. I really like it, and I'm quite excited to show you some of the possibilities of patching this in with Eurorack, because I think that's where this really shines. Although, that said, because this is a headphone out as well, you could just stick this on the coffee table, you know, just tinker in the living room with your headphones on. I think it's a really cool little synth. I like the fact that it's partially DIY, so it's nice that you have just that little bit of extra, I guess, intimacy with your instrument. That sounded wrong, sorry. So you get to kind of understand a little bit of what's going on and what actually is comprised, what a synth is comprised of. So there's not a huge amount to do, which for some people is going to be a blessing. For others, they might want to go a bit more in depth, but there are plenty of things out there if you want to actually be soldering. I like the fact that you get to see the innards before you play it. I think that was a nice little touch. So this is a really cool little self-encased voice. Although, like I said earlier, it's more than just a voice. It's got it's got utilities and everything else all built in, so you don't need anything else other than this. You could write a track using just this. I think that'd be cool. Sample and hold in it is a really cool little addition that you don't often see these days in synths like this. But I'm going to stop there. I am rambling, I realise that. Please do leave a comment. Let me know if there's anything in Eurorack land you would like to see this with. I've got quite a vast array of modules, so if there's something you would like to see this paired with, then let me know and I will rejig one of my cases to make that happen. I'll probably do that next week, so once you've seen this, leave a comment below, tell me what you'd like to see it used with, or if you just want me to plug it into Logic or create a particular kind of a voice using this, or a particular kind of a patch, so that you can understand whether it's the right kind of instrument for you or not. Happy to do that. So I'm going to unpatch this now and I'm going to stick it back in my Eurorack rig and keep going from there. I've been Rob, thanks very much for watching and I'll see you all again soon. Cheers, bye bye.